Alright, good morning internet. I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be doing a quick tutorial video. I'm going to try my best to just crank through this. I don't like editing, so I'm just going to try and do this all in one sitting. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new test project, and we're going to be talking about how to upload a RPG Maker. This is RPG Maker MZ, but this process should also work just the same for RPG Maker MV. I am unclear about the other RPG makers, but we're going to do testing for web upload. And we're going to start a new project. So the project you just saw is the one that I'm working on right now. And then this is just, I just want to show everything from A to Z. So the thing about uploading to the web on itch.io is that the file numbers need to be under a certain size. So you need to have less than 1,000 executable. Is that how you say that? Executable? That was hard to say. For you to be able to play it on the web browser. So like, for example, Frozen to the Bone, one of the projects that I did, I can right click on properties and I can see how many files it has right here. Actually, it has over 1,000. I think I must have two. Oh, this is because it has a bunch of different copies of it. Okay, that makes more sense. Sorry, silly me. So this is the actual game file. You can see these are the, this is what I would zip and then post onto itch.io to be able to be played. So this is the unzipped file that is executable, nailed it, after I'm finished making the game. And it only has 494 files. So a default project, here we are, a default project, which I can find down here, testing for web upload, is going to have 1,312 files. So I have at least 312 files that I have to find and delete. So in RPG Maker, up here, you can click on Resource Manager, and this lists all of the resources that are in your games. It's really going to depend on your game, what kind of assets you use, what default assets you're using, if any, what assets you're importing, and then like what you're doing by hand is how I like to think about it versus what you're doing with what the system already comes with. So if you don't have, for example, let's say you're doing a story-based video game and there's no battles. I know right away that I can delete all of these because I don't need them. I'm not going to have any battles. So battle back number 1 and battle back number 2, I can click shift, click on the bottom one, it selects all of them, delete, they're gone. There's a whole bunch of them gone right away. Same thing with this one. I know I'm not doing any battles. Delete, donezo. Enemies. I don't have any enemies. I don't have any battles. Look at all this shit. Look at all that. Goodbye. Faces. You know, I'm drawing my own faces for my characters. So these are the ones that come. They're like little faces for the text boxes. I don't think we're going to be using any of those. I usually leave the top one because it's the default one for the main character, for the main actor that's in the system. So I usually leave it there until I know what I'm putting there because it's constantly wanting it to be there. Parallaxes, I'm probably using parallaxes, so we can leave those. I don't think I'm doing bust images, and if I'm going to do bust images, I'm going to do my own. So let's delete these. You know, actors, you know, I might be using actors. Well, I guess we're not doing battles. So this is the battle sprite. So we're not doing battles. So we can delete all those. Select delete. Same thing with SV enemies. Select shift delete. We want to keep the system stuff. You know, tile sets is where it gets confusing. This is harder to remember. If I'm using any tile sets from the engine, I'm more likely to just leave all of these because the thinking is that, let's say, you know, I'm drawing something on this map and I'm like, okay, yay, here's the little village with, I don't know, fucking snowballs. And I decide, oh, I'm not using this, but this tile set is still here in the engine, but I decide I'm not using it. and I went over here and I deleted it, it could cause an error because it's going to want it to be there even though I don't use any of the items from it. So it's really easy to forget which ones you're using and which ones you're not, unless you keep really, really close track. If you're just trying to do this quickly and just delete stuff, if you're using any tile sets, just be very careful about what you're deleting. I like to always draw my own titles, so I'm probably not going to be using any of these default titles, so we can delete all of those. Those are pretty safe to delete. Same thing with these two. I like that I knew that there was just two of them before I clicked on it. Background music is a little trickier. Background music takes up the most space. Like the music files take up a lot of space. So I like to delete them, and then the ones that I really, really want to use, I will manually import if I'm using any of them. Same thing with background sounds. These take up a lot of space. These ones, this is tied to a lot of system stuff. So it's easier if you're using a lot of default assets in your project. It's probably more simple to leave these because you're more likely to accidentally delete something that you don't even realize that you're using. So this is going to be stuff that pops up if you use the game over function. So if in an event of some kind, I put in here the game over thing and I were to click on that, and I had deleted that sound file, it would give me an error message because it's looking for that game over sound file that's connected to that. And then same thing with sound effects. There's a lot of them here, but they're used in a lot of tiny little ways that's already built into the system. So the way that they're built into the system is you can go to System 1 or mostly just System 1. So I think RPG Maker MV, there's only one system tab, so it should all just be here. And then this is going to have all those sound effect files are all over here. So like I said, there's a whole bunch of them being used without you even realizing it. And then same thing up here. There's the game over one, there's the title one, battle one, all of that stuff. So I think the title one, actually, I already deleted those. See, I deleted something that I didn't realize. I mean, I didn't realize, but that's not the point. So what I like to do is you can use your arrows and hit enter and select them and go down. And that makes that a lot faster. So I don't really have much of a game here. Literally just a person and something I can click on that'll give me a game over. That sounds like a beginning, middle, and end to me. So if I wanted to have this be playable on the browser, right? Let's, I guess, play test it at least once to make sure I didn't delete, because you really can just delete something that's important, just on accident. So title ruins. So exactly. So I deleted the title images and I forgot that the game was looking for it right there, and it sends me an error message. So to keep track of what you're deleting, I didn't touch any of the tile sets. I didn't touch any of the actors. I am going to clear these. And so anytime you delete something, I have to go. So it's not enough that it's just gone. I have to go in here and make sure that the system knows I want it to be set to none. Because if it tries to look for that information and I didn't manually set it to none, it'll throw an error message. That sound is definitely coming from my computer, not my headphones. So hopefully it's not double recording that. I don't know if it is. I hope it's not. I'm sorry if that was painful. Okay, not the point. So, okay, so my game is done. Everything functions. I go up here to delete stuff. I just deleted a lot of files. So I'm going to save, and then I have to close the engine for it to register that change. And then we're going to see where we're at. Contains 728 files. So I just deleted quite a few. That got rid of a whole bunch of them. So now what I can do is I can reopen up that project. Don't judge me for how messy my homepage is. And we're going to deploy it. So we're going to do deployment, Windows. I like to export all of my stuff to the same file on my desktop, so it's easy to find. Testing. Select folder. And you might be wondering why I didn't click web browser or Android. For itch.io, you just need them to be in a zip file. And then the best advice I can give you for how to organize your games is you can't upload. I can't talk and do things at the same time. You can't upload the same file that has the same name. So I'm going to compress to zip file. And now if I wanted to upload a browser file and a downloadable file, I need two different files with two different names. So what I like to do, because it's simple and easy, is I just copy and paste. One says copy and one doesn't. Boom, two different file names. And I like to set the copy one as the browser file, and then just in case. I'm not going to hit publish, but you never know. I like to set copy as the browser file and the normal named file as the downloadable file, because that's going to be how it downloads in people's computer. All right, and then up here, kind of project, you're going to click HTML. You have a zip or HTML file that will be played in browser, because we do. This one is going to be played in browser. And then the other thing that we do is Baragon, who hosts the jams that I liked to be a part of, has a don't mind me. There's a community. So on all of the active jams, there's a community tab, and on that community tab, there is also a guide for how to upload a browser version of your project to itch.io. So itch.io isn't working with RPG Maker. You know, they're two different companies. But so you have to, so there are things that you can do in RPG Maker that like aren't compatible with itch.io that you have to just be careful of. So if you're working with like plugins, anything like that where you're, so there's some things that aren't compatible with itch.io. The things that I know of off the top of my head are certain characters. So like some foreign language characters, if you're you know, English isn't your first language and you're typing in a different alphabet, sometimes those characters aren't compatible with itch.io. And also some symbols aren't compatible with itch.io. I know I had an issue with one of the games that I did, Frozen to the Bone actually, where I used Galv's extra frame plugin. And for the extra frame plugin, the default symbol that they had me use for the files was, I think, a percentage symbol, and itch.io was not compatible with having percentage symbols in the files. So it's tiny stuff like that you'll run into if you start getting into like more complicated aspects of things. So you just have to be on the eye out. Think about all of the different like minute changes that you're making, how they affect your bigger picture, and try and just keep track of it all so you can trace down the issue more succinctly. I don't feel qualified to make this tutorial. I feel like I'm stumbling through this a little blindly most of the time, but For it to be playable in the browser, you need it to be the right width and height. So that's the biggest information that I get from this page, because I always forget these numbers. So it's 816 by 624. So copy is going to be, oops, this file will be played in browser. That file is going to be executable for the web, for not the web, for Windows. And then down here, I'm going to do embed options. How should your project run on your page? Embed and page manually set size. So this is going to be where I put those two numbers. So 816 and 624. Draft, restricted public draft. Geez. Save and view page. Loading game for the first time. So how are you? This is always what I do whenever I'm waiting for something to load with friends. How you doing? Let me know. Write in the comments. I never say shit like that. Yay! So look, it is working. So obviously this is just a draft and I'm going to go back through and delete all of this, but hopefully this was helpful. I think I sped through it, but hopefully I made it seem accessible. So it's a mixture of knowing what you're using, knowing what is easily deletable. So I think it's simple to, so if you know that you don't have any battles, right? We went through everything that's really easy to delete if you don't have battles. If you don't have battles, you can automatically delete all these battle backs, and all these SV actors. So that was a lot of files in both of those folders. And if you aren't using the default bust images that come with the game, there's a lot of pictures here that you can just automatically delete. There's quite a few. If you're using your own music, there's quite a bit of background music that you can automatically delete. When you get into things like background music, all of the sound files, really, you have to go through and double check that they're not being asked for here. Another thing that throws me off, because I am now in the habit of deleting almost everything in the system, like I make everything from scratch. But with quick event creation, there's some stuff in here that have sound files in them. So if I make a door and I've deleted this file, it's still going to call for it here. And then when I try and use this event, it'll just give me an error message. So there are things like that that you have to be aware of when you start deleting stuff, that there are the system RPG Maker isn't necessarily expecting you to delete its core files. But they take up a lot of space. So it's a mixture of being knowledgeable about what you're deleting, what it's being used for, what you want to use it for, and how to make it executable for itch.io. So I hope this is helpful. I mean, I sped through it, but we got to see the entire process. It's not super intimidating. It's super doable. And I hope my reasoning for things made sense. Like the zip file, everyone's computers are different and have different zip procedures. I know some people have Macs and I have no idea how a Mac works. But easy peasy. So I'm gonna go. I think we're okay. I think that's pretty much the gist of it. So this is my first attempt at a tutorial. I don't know that I feel qualified to make a tutorial, but that is how I do it. And regardless of whether or not I'm qualified to make a tutorial, I have published quite a few games. So it does work, even if it's not perfect. Or even if there's better ways, or, you know, I'm sure people have a million different ways that they approach this. But hopefully, I'm going to stop being self-deprecating. Hopefully this is helpful. So, hello, Internet. Goodbye, Internet. Bye.